again. I have another story that I'd like to share with you today. It is bread and jam for Francis. This is like a fun little story that we can do a couple different activities with, and I'll share those activities at the end, which is a little bit different than yesterday's video where it was kind of like we start at the beginning and then finish it off at the end. So I'll explain those later. All right, bread and jam for Francis by Russell Hoban. It was breakfast time, and everyone was at the table. Father was eating his egg. Mother was eating her egg. Gloria was sitting in her high chair and eating her egg too. Francis was eating bread and jam. "What a lovely egg," said Father. "If there is one thing I'm fond of for breakfast, it's a soft-boiled egg." "Yes," said Mother, spooning up egg for the baby. "It is just the thing to start the day off right." "Ah," said Gloria, and ate up her egg. Francis did not eat her egg. She sang a little song to it. She sang very softly. "I do not like the way you slide. I do not like your soft inside. I do not like your lots of ways. And I can do for many days without eggs." "What did you say, Francis?" asked Father. "Oh, nothing," said Francis, spreading her jam on another slice of bread. "Why do you keep eating bread and jam?" asked Father, "when you have lovely soft-boiled eggs?" "One of the reasons I like bread and jam," said Francis, "is that it does not slide off your spoon in a funny way." "Well, of course," said Father, "not everyone is fond of soft-boiled eggs for breakfast. But there are other kinds of eggs. There are sunny-side-up and sunny-side-down eggs." "Yes," said Francis, "but sunny-side-up eggs lie on the plate and look up at you in a funny way. And sunny-side-down eggs just lie there on their stomachs and wait." "But what about scrambled eggs?" said Father. "Scrambled eggs fall off the fork and roll under the table," said Francis. "I think it's time for you to go to school now," said Mother. Francis picked up her books, her lunchbox, and her skipping rope, then kissed Mother and Father goodbye and went to the bus stop. While she waited for the bus, and she skipped and sang, "Jam on biscuits, jam on toast. Jam is the thing that I like the most. Jam is sticky, jam is sweet. Jam is tasty, jam's a treat. Raspberry, strawberry, gooseberry. I'm very fond of jam." That evening for dinner, Mother cooked breaded veal cutlets with string beans and baked potatoes. "Ah," said Father, what is there handsomer on a plate and tastier to eat than breaded veal cutlet?" "It is a nice dish, isn't it?" said Mother. "Eat up the string bean, Gloria." "Oh," said Gloria, and ate it up. She had already eaten her dinner of strained beef and sweet potatoes, and she liked to practice with string bean when she could. "Where do breaded veal cutlets come from?" asked Francis. "And where are French cut stringless beans called string beans? And—" "We can talk about that another time," said Father. "Now it's time to eat our dinner." Francis looked at her plate and sang, "What do cutlets wear before they're breaded? Flannel nightgowns, cowboy boots, furry jackets, or sailor suits." Then she spread the jam on a slice of bread and took a bite. "She won't try anything new," said Mother to Father. "She just eats bread and jam. How do you know what you'll like if you won't even try anything?" asked Father. "Well," said Francis, "there are many different things to eat, and they taste many different ways. But when I have bread and jam, I always know what I'm getting, and I am always pleased." You try new things at your school lunches, said Mother. Today, I gave you a chicken salad sandwich. There now, said Frances to Father. Oh, sorry, Father to Frances. Wasn't it good? Well, I traded it to Albert, said Frances. For what? Asked Father. Bread and jam. The next morning at breakfast, Father sat down and said, Now, I call that a pretty sight. Fresh orange juice and poached eggs on toast. There's a proper breakfast for you. Thank you for saying so, said Mother. Poached eggs on toast do have a cheery look. Frances began to sing a poached egg song. Poached eggs on toast, why do you shiver with the funny little quiver? Then she looked down and saw that she did not have a poached egg. I have no poached egg, said Frances. I have nothing but orange juice. I know, said Mother. Why is that? Said Frances. Everybody else has a poached egg. Even Gloria has a poached egg. And she's nothing but a baby. But you do not like eggs, said Mother. And that is why I did not poach one for you. Have some bread and jam if you are hungry. So Frances ate the bread and jam and went to school. When the bell rang for lunch, Frances sat down next to Albert. What do you have today? Said Frances. I have cream cheese, cucumber, and tomato sandwich on rye bread, said Albert. And a pickle to go with it. And a hard-boiled egg and a little cardboard shaker of salt to go with that. And a thermos of bottled milk. And a bunch of grapes and a tangerine and a cup of custard with a spoon to eat with it. Oh, to eat it with, I'm sorry. What do you have? Frances opened her lunch. Bread and jam, she said. And milk. You're lucky, said Albert. That's what you like. You don't have to trade now. That's right, said Frances. And I had bread and jam for dinner last night and breakfast this morning. You certainly are lucky, said Albert. Yeah, said Frances. I am a very lucky girl, I guess. But I'll trade if you want to. That's all right, said Albert. I like my cream cheese with cucumbers and tomatoes on rye. Albert took 2 napkins from his lunchbox. He tucked one napkin under his chin. He spread the other on his desk like a tablecloth. He arranged his lunch neatly on the napkin with a spoon, and he cracked the shell of the hard-boiled egg. He peeled away the shell and bit off one end of the egg. He sprinkled salt on the yolk and set the egg down again. He unscrewed his thermos bottle cup and filled it with milk. Then he was ready to eat his lunch. He took a bite of his sandwich and a bite of his pickle and a bite of his hard-boiled egg and a drink of milk. Then he sprinkled more salt on the egg and went around again. Albert made his sandwich, the pickle, the egg, and the milk come out even. He ate his bunch of grapes and his tangerine, and he cleared away and crumpled up the wax paper, the eggshell, and the tangerine peel. He set the custard in the middle of his napkin on his desk. He took up his spoon and ate up all his custard. Then Albert folded his napkin and put them away. He put away his cardboard salt shaker on his spoon. He screwed on the cup of his thermos bottle. He shut his lunchbox, put it back inside his desk, and sighed. I like to have a good lunch, said Albert. Frances ate her bread and jam and drank her milk. Then she went out to the playground and skipped rope. She did not skip as fast as she skipped in the morning, and she sang, Jam in the morning, jam at noon, bread and jam by the light of the moon. Jam is very nice. When Frances got home from school, Mother said, I know you'd like to have a little snack when you got home from school, and I already have one. And I have one all ready for you. I do like snacks, said Frances, running around to the kitchen. Here it is, said Mother, a glass of milk and some nice bread and jam for you. Aren't you worried that maybe I will get sick and all my teeth will fall out from eating so much bread and jam, said Frances. I don't think that will happen for quite a while, said Mother, so eat it up and enjoy. Frances ate up most of her bread and jam. But she did not eat all of it. After her snack, she went outside to skip rope. Frances skipped a little more slowly than she skipped at noon, and she sang, jam for snacks and jam for meals. I know how a jam jar feels, full of jam. That evening for dinner, Mother cooked spaghetti and meatballs with tomato sauce. I'm glad to see there will be enough for second helping, said Father, because spaghetti and meatballs is one of my favorite dishes. Spaghetti and meatballs is a favorite with everybody, said Mother. Try a little spaghetti, Gloria. Said Gloria, and she tried the spaghetti. Frances looked down at her plate. Oh, she's crying. She saw that there were no spaghetti and meatballs on it. There was just a slice of bread and a jar of jam. Frances began to cry. My goodness, said Mother. Frances is crying. What's the matter? Asked Father. Frances looked down at her plate and sang a little song. She sang so softly that Mother and Father could barely hear her. What I am is tired of jam. I want spaghetti and meatballs, said Frances. May I have some, please? I had no idea you liked spaghetti and meatballs, said Mother. How do you know if you won't even try me? Asked Frances, wiping her eyes. So, Mother gave Frances spaghetti and meatballs, and she ate it all up. The next day, when the bell rang for lunch, Albert said, What do you have today? Well, said Frances, lying on a paper doily on her desk, and setting a tiny vase of violets, oh, how cute, in the middle of it. Let me see. She arranged her lunch on the doily. I have a thermos bottle of cream with cream of tomato soup, she said, and lobster salad sandwich on thin slices of white bread. I have celery, carrot sticks, black olives, and a little cardboard shaker of salt for the celery, and 2 plums and a tiny basket of cherries. Man, she is eating like a queen. And vanilla pudding with chocolate sprinkles and a spoon to eat with it. Ooh, that's a good lunch, said Albert. I think it's nice that there are all different kinds of lunches and breakfasts and dinners and snacks. I think eating is nice, said Albert. So do I, said Frances. And she made the little lobster sandwich, the celery, the carrot sticks, and the olives come out even. The end. Oh, sorry, that book made me hungry. Okay, so I have a couple ideas that I'd like to share with you that you can do at home. And couple like differentiation for the grade levels. So here we go. All right, so one thing you can do for really anybody that knows how to write and can sound out words on their own is to write about one of their great lunches and their idea of a perfect lunch. So they can start off their sentence with a great lunch for me would be, and then, you know, a couple sentences to describe that lunch. For my friends that are maybe 2nd, 3rd grade, push them to write at least 3 to 4 sentences describing what those foods would be. And then, of course, once they finish, feel free to draw a picture. I always like to have my students draw a picture to go with their writing. Just encourages them to kind of add more. And if they forgot something that they maybe included in their picture, they might want to write it down in words as well. For the younger grades that maybe don't aren't able to sound out words on their own or form their letters, is just to have them draw a picture of their favorite lunch. And I used my husband's name. Nick's favorite sandwich is, and then you would have them tell you after they drew their picture and pretend they said a sandwich. You would just write it, inscribe it for them down at the bottom. So that's something you can do with pre-K. And then this is how to kind of incorporate a math activity into story time, is to have your student or your child at home create a data chart about friends and family's favorite lunches. And this might be a good idea to have them call their family and friends, just kind of, reach out to people that maybe are home right now and, would like an appreciative phone call. Have them create a graph to share those favorite lunches. And that's a good way to kind of go over what a bar graph is, how to collect data, and how to plot on maybe a simple bar graph. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed our story number 2 with Mrs. Turgeon, Bread and Jam for Francis. I know a lot of grown-ups might remember that from their childhood. I know I remember reading it when I was a kid. It's just nice to be able to read some stories that maybe we don't have at home or haven't seen in a while. So I really hope that you and your grown-ups at home really enjoyed it. So in the meantime, I think I'm gonna have some lunch.